On Time with Doctor and Serge, Logtech podcast.
Hi, Serge. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Right. So this is episode number 7, right?
Right.
And today we're going to talk about a real issue which most of the business I have worked has faced: inventory accuracy.
Nice, yeah. Finally, some simple stuff.
And what we're going to talk about, from my experience and your experience, what are the current issues are, for example, and how we can solve it, process-wise, and most importantly, system-wise. So let me start up a scenario without naming anybody. There's a company who makes some modular stuff, big products, and they have, I think, 2 major warehouses, and they have about 200 suppliers. Product comes in, they book it into some kind of paperwork, and that paperwork goes into Excel, and that Excel goes to a ERP system, and some guy who has access to ERP system enter it, right? And then in the warehouse, what's happening is the product is everywhere. Steel is there, plastic is there, cement is there. There's no locations. Now, when the production planning people say, okay, now I'm issuing a new project, please send me the kit, which needs to make a project, assemble a certain modular product. Yeah. Okay, then they issue the product. And then they realize they're missing bits and bobs, some critical material. Now, when I investigated the problem, I realized there's 4 or 5 big issues. First of all, they don't have any cycle counting process. Second of all, they don't have a barcoding in place. Third of all, the direct inventory doesn't directly go into the system. Basically, somebody has to enter it. But the biggest one is they do not have locations. So from this problem statement, and I've seen it even in my warehouse in the UK, it takes time to implement it. So when you hear this problem, what's your initial thoughts?
People, especially at C-level, they want to see everything in one system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they want that system to be like a Facebook game, My Farm. I can see everything, like all my carrots are all lined up. So they play that game with ERP being the not just single source of truth, but like a replacement for what you have in fields. You look up the document, it should be, okay, like it's December 12th. The actual date when it was issued from the warehouse could be different, very different.
Yeah.
Could be day before, day after, because the posting date doesn't reflect the actual date. You shipped it twice, but you have the same document with just a single date, because ERP nicely reflects what you have afterwards. So you've tried to clean the mess, and what's left is in your ERP. SAP, Dynamics, they do have that split between documents that just plan something and the documents that reflects the actual changes. Like you have order, and then you have invoice or something like that. But some systems don't. And even in SAP, you have blind spots where you do the transfer, and once you've posted it in SAP, it's like transferred already, which is not, because you have to go and move it.
Move it, yes.
Yeah. First of all, why people want to have a single system with everything being in that system?
It's just one data into one place, right? Maybe that's why.
Well, it's convenience.
It's convenience, and this whole myth of we need a single source of truth, right? As you said, for the leadership, what they want is visibility. They need to know real time or as much as same day, if not real time, that how much inventory we are carrying, what is missing, what is not missing, and it's not there. So that's the real stakeholder issue.
Yeah.
So I want to split it into, let's call it 2 parts. One is 3 parts. One is the physical movement on the floor. Second is the process issues, which they don't have, or usually businesses don't have. Third is system. So let me pick the easy one, which is the physical movement. Every warehouse, at its very basics, should have a location for the specific materials. So the materials should be allocated to a certain locations, which is, even to my surprise today, is not really like a standard practice. That, for example, if you have a steel parts on a certain bay, on a certain shelf, it has to be a labeled name. Let's call it, I don't know, AB01. And then AB01 should be a location in the warehouse. Like, this is a basic practice.
Like in IKEA, you go there and it says like, shelf, I don't know, aisle 23.
Aisle 23.
Shelf this and
Basic.
that, so it's easy to
So it needs to be there.
Yeah.
If frankly speaking, if anybody doesn't have it, then you are missing out. I mean, good luck in finding it. There's a guy called David or somebody, Ashraf, who's been in the warehouse for 20 years. If that guy is not present because he is ill or having vacation, then nobody knows and people are walking around.
Oh, you have locations, but it's like far end there or somewhere to the left from the front gate. Those are the locations.
Those are locations, right? And so that needs to be solved first. That's first thing. The second thing, if you do not have it, it has a big process implication. Because good luck in doing your annual stock take, which should be done in 2 to 3 days, will take a week because people are finding out where the stuff is.
Yeah.
And hardly you can do any cycle counting. So having a locations linked with the materials is a basic starting point, which leads to your stock taking procedure, which take us to your cycle counting procedure, right? But I want to take your expertise because you are essentially solving this warehouse automation problem, and I would say you're one of the few people who are expert in barcoding. Why it's so difficult for people to implement barcode? Basic question. And part B of the question is where they should start. So you can answer it in that sequence if you like.
Yeah.
Why is it difficult?
Okay, so first of all, you take the box, it's covered all in stickers, but barcodes mean nothing. They reference some records in database which is not yours, some supplier database, some customs database, aviation company, manufacturer database, not yours. And those digits mean nothing. So there is the barcode, but it's not universal barcode. It's just some internal barcode. And you can't tell what that barcode mean. So that's the first problem. Second problem is that inventory is not as neat as just one bottle of juice, 1 liter, whatever. It's all rolls of paper, cables that have to be calculated by meters, canisters that you can open up, take some, close
Same
it.
with the boxes, right? You have a box of circuit breakers, yeah? You take 3 out
take
and
3 out.
even the box is 12, yeah.
Box is 12, and you probably even have the barcode that says it's 12, but it's not.
Yeah.
And most of the times in the ERP, you don't have this level of
accuracy.
Detail. Like you open your ERP, how much cable we have? 73 meters. How much rolls? How much barrel? No, there is no answer there. If you try to put that into ERP, you will face lots of problems. Like your manufacturing needs, I don't know, 520 liters, but you cannot issue 520.
We get this problem. I want to move forward from this problem.
You take 2 canisters, which is 600 probably liters, right? So you have this system with the stickers that tracks at this level of detail and only talks to ERP things that ERP understands. So ERP wanted to move 520 liters. Someone went to the warehouse, opened a mobile device that order, bomb picking. You go scanning. The barcode now contains how many liters. You do the transfer. So now ERP knows that
Right.
you have moved not 520, you've moved 599. And then manufacturing will do same. They will receive by scanning barcodes. Yeah.
In this scenario, how you use barcode? Because you're manually entering it, right?
It depends on the nature of that product. You can count screws, and that will be manual. Barrels you can weigh, and you can take information from weighs. What I'm saying is that people think of barcodes as an ID, like those barcodes that are on incoming shipments. But barcodes is actually a medium of information exchange between the computers, basically. Right. So barcode is a medium. It can store all the information that is needed locally.
For the
weight, length, what's the product item, what's the packaging,
and all that.
What is the packaging, all that information.
Right.
You can store what was the purchase order that was used to procure that.
Even that, okay.
Locally, stored locally. You don't have to go to SAP to fetch that information.
Very good.
You go to SAP once you receive that, but then you stick it the barcode and everything is locally stored. This mobile device can check on site in the desert without Wi-Fi, 5G, something useful because it will be taken from the barcode. And back in the days, like 20 years ago, barcodes used to be linear because the computers were slow and the scanners were laser scanners.
Two-dimensional or linear?
Linear,
Okay.
one dimension. One dimensional.
Okay.
So that, like a limitation. You cannot put much information into this small barcode. You will have to invent this reference system where you just put 6 digits and then look up what does it mean in some Excel sheet, yeah? But nowadays, all the cameras, all the scanners, they are now pick up 2D barcodes. A lot of information in there, take all that from the barcode itself. So that is the modern approach to the things. I use barcodes as a medium to tell computer what is there, and computer will decide and we'll guide you through the process. Should you take that barrel or not? Is it manufacturing date okay with your contracts? Or should you impose first in, first out on that specific transfer? That can all be done now using these local data and small databases and devices, mobile devices. So that's the basics of things.
So we covered that part. You covered the problem and you covered the solution part. So let's say we implemented that, right? The second thing of that is so then as you said, the whole point of the barcode is to exchange information between two systems. Systems could be one computer talking to the computer. So when that happens, then means we have automated the information transfer process. That means not somebody has to come and type into Excel spreadsheet, send it to a guy who's going to enter into ERP, which is happening as we speak.
Yeah.
So that's the solution of that problem.
Everyone wants data in their ERP.
In their ERP, right? So, but that is happening at a point in time, right? But you still need to have a second part, which is what's happening on the flow. What has been booked in, so you can track until very pretty much accurately what has arrived from a supplier. You have done the inspection, you have done the scanning, and all the goods you have received, which is hopefully 100% correct. You book in the system. So we're happy with that.
So here comes the second part that you automate posting into the ERP.
Which is
same day.
Great. So we're happy with the solution. Now you have figured it out, and we can solve that problem. But
things are not that easy.
I'm not saying easy, but it's pretty much, even with some difficulty, that level of accuracy is achieved.
Okay, so I'm a professional, and people want professionals to handle things. So in real life, it is like this. An SCM guy or approach, CIO, CTO, with that thing, we need this level of accuracy. Like we need dates that are accurate, and probably we need this leftover of weights and liters in barrels or whatever. And the answer will be, it's like small project. But it's not a small project.
It's a big project. It's a massive project.
It's massive. It's like it will take a year or two because you will have to rewrite all of the tables, databases within the ERP.
Oh, why you say that?
Okay, so you have an invoice which states 500 liters. And now you need an extra columns stating number of the barrel, leftover, scanning time, all that, this level of the detail, right? Otherwise, where it all be stored? If you want to store it in the ERP, if you want to have this in your ERP, then you have to add all those columns, details for your stock. Now you're having stock not just in liters, but down to each canister, barrel, reel, okay? That affects all the reports, stock reports, inbound, outbound, movement, money-wise, quantity-wise. It affects the printouts of those reports. Now they're broken, reports are broken, printouts are broken, your documents now broken because it's a document flow from invoice to, and you have to link all these small things like that barrel goes, it was ordered, now it's transferred, now it's put into that location.
Who's supposed to do that? The warehouse people, right?
No, warehouse people will just type in that data.
Right.
But in order for ERP to handle that, you will have to implement this level of detail in the ERP.
And who's supposed to do that?
People think ERP provider should implement that.
It's not right. It should be logistics people, in my view.
Or logistics people should implement that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that this project is very time-consuming and very expensive. It's like making your own ERP because you don't have that level of detail.
I think you're exaggerating the problem.
No. If you don't have the item level, you will hit the wall with that.
Yeah, but we have to make it easier for people, right? Even though you're right, okay, kind of right. I don't 100% agree with you, but I don't want to scare people. The way I would say is, right, we take a perpetual approach. Perpetual approach means you don't have to solve the whole massive issue in one year, right? You start from what you have.
Then you will lose the accuracy. If you just received barrels, but then moved liters, you will lose how much you have.
We have to make it as a stage plan, right? You don't want to build the whole.
But it will not work until everything is done. That's the problem.
I'm not 100% agree with you.
So you've put away into locations,
Yeah.
for instance. Then you've made a stock take without locations.
Yeah. Because there's no location.
And
it's wrong.
It's wrong, right?
And I want to move to that part, right? Because I need to move to the let's call it end part of the conversation. So we do in stages, right? So at least you get the inbound piece right. Okay, you explained very well. We got this. Now to move to the second and third part. which is the locations, right? Putting a locations linked with the where the inventory goes. And those locations need to be set up in ERP system.
Yes, that's what people think because they want everything in the ERP.
But what do you say? It's not wrong, right?
No, I'm doing that in Cleverance. I don't touch ERP. I just use whatever there is already in the ERP.
So locations...
Even locations are in Cleverance.
But they are mapped with the ERP, right?
ERP doesn't know about locations. ERP still works without locations, perfectly fine.
Okay, so
all that extra hassle, locations, different quantities, different packaging, all those things that complicates ERP, they're in Cleverance. Yes, because there are lots of things. So I've explained like how you can have half a canister and that should be reflected in ERP. Okay, you can have it, but that will take a year or two for you and a lot of money to customize ERP for that. Sometimes you have item which is in 3 boxes, in 3 locations. That's another overcomplication of an ERP, of the ERP. So you have a single item, engine, pump, but actually it's in 3 boxes scattered throughout locations. So, okay, you account for that in the ERP, and there are other things that very, very overcomplicate this thing. So people, most of the time, they think, oh, forget it. Let's buy some huge WMS that knows all that stuff. And now you don't have accuracy in the ERP because you have 2 different stocks. One stock in the ERP and the other stock in WMS. They never match. So you haven't solved the problem.
How you solve
the problem? Yes. Yeah. So you have everything in the ERP. Everything is dynamically posted real time into the ERP.
Right.
But overcomplications like locations, boxes, barrels, they are stored in the system that is present on the warehouse or manufacturing or shop floor, just not to overcomplicate the ERP. See? So that's the answer.
So that's the answer. So if I summarize, but locations needs to be physically created and mapped with the system, Cleverance or ERP.
If you have locations in the ERP, okay, you can have them there.
Let's assume they don't have it, but you have to. That needs to be created.
If you don't, okay, you don't have to. Yeah, so the key is
I am not worrying about anything in the system. My worry is physically in the warehouse.
It will be in the warehouse. Yeah, you have mobile device, you have all the database here.
Yeah, so the locations on the pallet or on the shelf, it has to say a location, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It will tell you the location. It will not just tell you the location, it will make sure that FIFO or other things, lead times are imposed also.
So after this basics, then you can go for... Once it is in place, you can do all the sexy stuff, right? Route optimization, supplies and digital twin, all this sort of stuff. And this is the point I want to make to the audience here. This basic stuff, what we talked about, is the essence to do any optimization work as well. You know, as we teach SNOP, and I say, you can't implement SNOP if you don't have a basic supply chain, right? There's your ABC analysis and made to stock, made to order, safety stocks and all that. Similarly, this basics of having a location, you know, a system to receive the inventory, record it properly, should be able to find it, and then you can pick from that location, you can basically post to that location. So this is the basic of any optimization improvement work you will do in a warehouse. Because without that, you don't have the basics.
Yeah, those are the basics. It's just very hard for people to understand these simple things.
But this is the basic, nothing else.
With locations, okay, why do you have barcodes on locations?
Good, okay, answer the question yourself.
Because what if I misread the destination? So I came to the location, I took some box, and now you have this mobile device that wants you to scan to confirm the location that you've arrived at to give you the next step. You cannot see next step until you scan the location. You scan, the barcodes is same as the location information, and this machine just compares those two and tells you, you're dyslexic. See, this is not the right location. It just helps to correct for those simple mistakes. It's just because level is sitting by the desktop. So if you think that everything has happened by the desktop, then you cannot account for those mistakes. Like you scan the barcode sitting at the desktop, you're not going anywhere. There's no error correction. You're typing and that's it. But if you start thinking how people really move within the warehouse, what they do first, what they do next. Then you start to realize how many blind spots you have there. Simple one, again, you issue transfer. And once you saved it, ERP thinks it's already transferred, which is not. Now you have problem. Customer calls you. Do you have it? No, I don't. But you do in that warehouse. Oh, it's Fujairah. You go in Fujairah. It's not in Fujairah. It will be in 3 days in Fujairah, right? First, you've planned something. You've executed. There are some mismatches. Quantity is not okay. Items are not okay. And then you adjust for that and save in the ERP the result, right? But most of the ERPs, they just don't have 2 documents, 2 columns for quantities, 2 batches, what was planned, what was the result. It's just the end result. So ERP most of the time stores the end result of the things.
Right. So let's summarize this. To improve the accuracy of the warehouse, you need 4 basic things. The first would be how you record the inventory, how you receive it using the barcoding system. The basic one should be implemented. To make that work, you have to match the second important thing, which is the physical locations. So all of this first part will not work unless the physical locations in the warehouse, when people walk around and scan, are not matching in the system. So that's the second most important step. Now, the third important step, once you have this visibility, would be doing the annual stock take, do it properly with the auditors, get the physical accuracy right. That means when you're starting an air or something, you have it right. But then you have to have a process to continuously monitor and track the accuracy. And that is cycle counting, right? So implement through ABC, whatever. I mean, SCMDOJO, we have a policy in place. You can go to our best practices, you can download it, you can use it. So that will help on the cycle counting to maintain the accuracy of the warehouse going forward, right? And we also have the procedure for the how to do annual stock take on it, SCMDOJO best practices as well. So if you do that, then you get your basics right. That's the takeaway of the inventory accuracy. Now, from this, once you have the base right to build your building, then you can move to a further continuous improvement stuff. For example, maybe you got it right, but the warehouse is not optimized. For example, every business have ABC classification of items. Then you have one A item on this part of the warehouse and the other is on the other part, right? I mean, why is that?
Right.
Because you didn't think it through your ABC optimization at that point. Because the most frequently picked part has to be close, so you don't have to walk around too much.
Yeah.
But you can't really do this analysis unless you have the right inventory in the right locations.
So you don't have time.
You don't have time.
You're trying to run faster than your warehouse.
So you can do that. Exactly. And then people try to, and the best thing is, people come and ask you, oh, buy my AI solution, or, this is called visual, I think, cameras who can read stuff and monitor inventory, all this tech and digital twin. Yeah, you can do all that once you have the basics right. Do not buy any hi-fi tech stuff unless you have the basics functionalities of the system process working properly. Yeah, that would be my conclusion. What's your final thoughts? Right.
See, I'm on the pessimistic side here.
Okay, you always are.
Yes.
You always are.
I still see that people don't get the basics. Not just went through the process of making the basics right, but they just don't get the basics right. They still think that barcode is some unique ID that have to be referenced to some database. They still think that you need this database access from your wherever you are. They forgot that once the ERP doesn't work, your warehouse will not run. That's very problematic. I mean, ERP is for your internal use. Customers should not be affected by your ERP or whatever not working, right? So there's no plan B most of the times. People implement those fragile systems with no plan B. Systems breaks, and once it's broken, you cannot use, and it's the whole thing rolled back to where it was without automation, without barcodes or whatever. So I keep seeing that, and I don't think that everyone could understand things at your level just by watching some podcasts, right? So
there's at least intention, and between you and my brand, I think we got enough tools and information. So if this podcast will give them some,
and people still wants everything to be in their ERP, whatever it is,
which is not wrong, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's okay. That's okay.
Why?
But why it's not okay?
A joke. So what is a joke about IT is that you're sitting by the laptop. Oh no, not the laptop. You have 3. And your toilet is here, and your trash bin is here,
Yeah.
and you eating by that,
Yeah.
and everything, all life is here, and like if you're a girl, you give birth sitting by that.
Okay.
So is that
Extreme?
no? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course not.
Very convenient. Everything is at reaching distance. So this is how ERP looks like. See, everything is very convenient, but ugly. Have separate spaces for eating, for working, for leisure, for bathroom. It should be separate. So same thing with IT systems. There are specific IT systems
For specific jobs.
for specific jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying we should have a WMS system or system like Cleverance for the locations. Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're saying. Let's agree to kind of disagree, right, on this one, okay? Because I've seen businesses. I have managed warehouses, which is we manage location in ERP, and it worked fine. But you could be right, okay? So we don't have to agree on everything. That's podcast, and that's our different experiences. And I think we could be both. We both could be right. Possible.
Locations there, something else will not be there.
Possibly.
You cannot have
You're right.
everything in the
you
ERP.
don't. That part I agree. You can't have everything in the ERP system. That part I agree.
Exactly.
And I also agree on that part that the specialized system doing specialized job. Therefore, people are selling WMS system for a lot of money. Therefore, you exist, right? Because there's a need in the
But
market.
the market is not agreeing on that. Customers want single ERP, everything there. So there's huge market for that point, good sales point. Like,
But that is why making this podcast, right? Is to create that awareness that one size doesn't fit all. And if you need an excellence of running a certain part of your home or an office or business warehouse, you need a specialized system. Link with your motherboard, which is your ERP system.
spoon for soup, fork,
Steak.
yes.
Or knife.
Yeah.
All right.
Not just a single tool for everything.
With this brilliant example, I think we should finish this episode, right? It's been great. Hopefully, audience would have find it useful. I'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, great.
Let's
See
do
you
that.
too.
On Time with Dr. and Serge. Logtech Podcast.